Welcome everyone to the flagship of the NotInHallOfFame.com programming. It is the flagship. It is the oldest show on our network. I'll call it a network, but it's the Hall of Fame show, season 3, episode 13. 3 times 13 is, I don't know. I'm terrible at math.
39.
That's what I would have said.
But that's not the right episode because we do 50. So I think it's like 113.
I just wanted to say 3 times 13. I know that.
Fair. It's somewhere between 113 and 117. We've lost count.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. So that's good news.
It's a good thing. I'm your host, Kirk Buchner, and along with me as always is Evan Nolan.
Well, not always. I was absent last week. So
that's true. And thank you, Dave Whitlock, for stepping in while Evan went to his home away from home. Again, every time you're not available, it's because you're in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's weird. It's Tennessee is not a place I thought that would happen with, but we went to in October. I was in Nashville. This time we were in Gatlinburg, which is right up against the Smoky Mountains. And I will have to say, as a snooty Northeasterner who probably has no reason to be snooty about the size of our mountains, the Smokies are impressive. They're an impressive set of mountains. They are like the White Mountains up in northern New Hampshire that go up into Maine seem very, that's the right word for them. They're not that wild. They seem fairly well organized. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. The Smokies just seem like it's chaos. Like they're super steep. All the trees have fallen down. It just looks like the Smokies look like a Dungeons and Dragons terrain. That's the best I can describe them. Like you could believe that any creature lives in the Smokies. I don't feel that way about the White Mountains. So
there might be a hillbilly joke there, but I don't really want to offend those people.
Yeah, I mean they're using their haulers for their moonshine anyway. So
since when have I cared?
My favorite thing about Gatlinburg, just by the way, is it was named after a guy whose last name was Gatlin, who they needed a space for a new post office. And he said he'd give him some of his land as long as they named the town after him. And so they named the town after him. And then like 5 years later, ran him out of town because everybody hated him. And then they just never changed the name of the town.
That's an awesome story.
I learned that while mini golfing. We were mini golfing there and they had like the history of Gatlinburg. Each hole had a different thing. But yeah, they like Mr. Gatlin ran a general store, among other things. They needed a new space for the post office. He gave him the land as long as they named it after him. I can't remember. It was like White Oaks was the original name of the town. And they named it after him. And then he got mad. Everybody got mad at him and they ran him out of town. They're like, yeah, we'll still keep the name. It's a good name. So
that would have been the best FU was to change it though. Like that makes no sense to me. Because he was still alive, no?
At that point, yeah. I mean, this was 1861, but yeah, he was still around.
Okay, so it's not like you have to go through that much work in bureaucracy in 1861, I would think. Of course, it's 1861, you're in Tennessee. Maybe you got other things to worry about.
Yeah, well, there was a battle. There was a Civil War battle at Gatlinburg. There's 200 Confederates.
Don't tell me who won. I'm still waiting for that on the History Channel.
Well, there are 200 Confederates who were holding a gap, and the Union Army went around two ways. And again, I told you these mountains are nuts. Can't imagine splitting your party to come at this gap from two different sides. Like, I don't know how you could have done it. The mountains, they're seriously like this, pitched. I don't get how you would move a military around that way, but they did, and they got them out. So
I guess very slowly.
Very slowly, yeah.
Do we start off with WWE news or the smorgasbord?
I think so, because it's rare we start with a situation which hell is frozen over.
It has. The Steiner brothers have been chosen for the WWE Hall of Fame, and hell freezes over in this Hall of Fame more than any other hall.
Agreed.
When Bruno Sammartino got in, that was pretty much hell freezing over. Sting, to a lesser degree. Scott Steiner, mostly this is because of Scott, not because of Rick. Well, I know you're a moderate wrestling fan, not so much like I was. I have to say was in past tense. I had realized it's WrestleMania weekend and like, I'll probably be watching it, but Anywho, The Steiners were probably, in my opinion, the greatest tag team of the 1990s and a prototype for a lot of wrestlers from that day. They were big, they were tough, they knew how to wrestle collegiately. They both were legit stars in wrestling at the University of Michigan. That was real. They they were doing things that a lot of people weren't in terms of just throwing people around. Scott, before he got too big in terms of roiding up, no one could do what he could do.
Mm-hmm.
But in recent years, well, in the 2015 award ceremony, Scott was barred. I don't think he was even invited, but they told him they had like his picture, make sure this guy don't let him in because he threatened Hulk Hogan's wife. Or Hulk Hogan. I don't know. There are countless upon, I couldn't even tell you how many interviews where I've heard him just rip on the WWE.
Mm.
I'm shocked that he agreed to go in. They deserve this. Don't get me wrong. They are hugely. This should have happened years ago. I can understand why it didn't. They were in the top 20 on the WWE list that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I stunned because I have not heard anything. The only thing I can think of is I guess maybe he wants to do it for his nephew. Rick's son wrestles as Braun Breaker. Imagine that. You're the son of Rick Steiner, and his first name's Rex. So you can call him Rex Steiner. No, you're going to call him Braun Breaker. Fucking idiot. And he's barely wrestled, and he's already better than pretty much half the roster they have now in the main one. He was already NXT champion. Unless they screw things up, which they're sometimes prone to do, this guy should be licensed to print money. So maybe that's why he did it, for love of his nephew. Don't know. Or he's just calmed down in later years. He's had heart issues. And I guess it sort of makes you change your thinking. Like Triple H, you may have read, he's had to retire from in-ring competition. And it's sort of a shame. I wasn't the biggest Triple H guy, but you want to see the great ones go out on their own terms. And he didn't get to have that last match. And it's something that I wish we could have seen. I don't know who his last dream opponent should have been. It's hard to say, but he became like it's weird. Like when he was wrestling in the 2000s, the internet hated him. Now they all loved him because he built NXT, and he sort of like pushed a lot of the guys that a lot of the indie talent. Now he doesn't control it anymore, and NXT fell to shit. You can rewrite your own story. So there's that. Also, Shad Gaspard, who you've talked about in your and people who've passed away, will be given the Warrior Award. And Shad was one half of Crime Time. He passed away last year when he was trying to save and he did save his son from drowning in the ocean.
Right. Yeah. I remember.
Yeah. So as for who else it's going to be, I mean, they're going to do what they always do. They're just going to like throw a bunch of names out at a wall during the actual ceremony. And next week we'll play the game. Does Evan know any of these names?
I feel like we do that every single. I have two people from wrestling who passed away this week who I've never heard of. I kind of feel like I played that game with you. Like, does Kirk actually know who these people are?
One of them I will. The other one I'm not even sure who this is. So So I might have missed that. So yeah, I thought that would be an actual Hall of Fame related news to kick off the show. So congrats to the Steiners, well deserved. It might be interesting. We might have a Will Smith thing on our hands. Oh, what a segue to the smorgasbord of shit. Did I not say that there was issues with this guy?
Yeah, you have. I mean, he married a Scientologist, so there's automatically issues.
All right. Did you see the Oscars? I forced myself.
I did not see the Oscars. It took place the night we got home from our trip, so I had other things to do like work, and there were also soccer matches on. So I pre-recorded the U.S. and Panama, so I was watching that instead.
And I told you I found this cool bar already that does that. And they're already showing that in local station Winnipeg when when the Canada qualified. So that's definitely the place I'm taking you for. Whenever you get out here, if there's like some kind of soccer on, we're going to that bar at some point.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So there's not much I can add to the whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing that hasn't been analyzed to shit already. So I'm going to just notice what I found kind of interesting. Thank you, Will Smith. You've united the United States because people from the far right and the far left all hate you.
Not according to the New York Post. New York Post today said that many more people supported Will Smith than Chris Rock. I don't know where they got that.
I don't know where they got that either, but within 2 hours, I don't want to call him alt-right because I don't think he defines himself as alt-right, but Daily Wire correspondent Matt Walsh condemned him. Of course he would. But so did Hannah Jones of the 1619 Project. I don't think those two, no, they had different reasons, of course, I'm assuming, but I don't think those two would ever agree on anything. And they did. A lot of other people have sort of come up with the same conclusion that I kind of did regarding all of this. Like, at some point when people are laughing at you, and myself included, I did on this show, lost a lot of respect for that guy. At some point, you're going to snap.
Mm-hmm.
You probably picked the worst time. Actually, just 2 hours ago, apparently the Academy said they asked him to leave, and he said no. I wonder if that's true.
They could have asked him to leave, but they knew that he had won Best Actor. So they couldn't actually have won. They didn't actually want to have that situation. It would have made it far worse.
I'll be honest here, Evan. If I was the producer, I'm not asking him to leave.
Yeah.
I know that I'm doing something where the ratings have been in the toilet. Now, the ratings did go up, though that had nothing to do with it because who knew?
Right. Well, I do have to say, Chris Rock has made out pretty well. He opened a show in Boston tonight. The first line apparently was, "So, how was everyone's weekend?" He's doing 5 shows in Boston, and the tickets for them have gone up like 8 times for the resale.
Well, good on him, but I'm sure that's not how he wanted to increase his net worth.
No.
I'll finish with something that a lot of other people have said. Will Smith, you know what? Real brave to do that to someone who's a lot smaller than you, isn't a fighter. You're a tough guy.
I don't know. Mick Foley was impressed with how well he took a punch. He said that Chris Rock could be a jobber any day. So
was I. I mean, and I'll say the same thing I said when who was it? Roughnet. I never pronounce his name right. Roughnet Odor. Talk Batista. Jose Batista. And it said, well, look, he really clocked him. Like, okay, Batista didn't have a mark on him the next day, and he didn't go down.
Right.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And I think if that's as hard as you hit, I'm not impressed.
Yeah. So there are some interesting things about this. First of all, anyone who is defending violence against words is silly. Mm-hmm. So he was right to go up and hit him. And then I guess that allows Chris Rock's wife to come down and kick, Will Smith in the nuts, which would allow Jada Pinkett to then punch her. Like it's dumb. Like the way to deal with this is if he wanted to do the yelling, then fine. You know what I mean? But like just he just yelled at him, then fine. But that
wasn't really so much it. I mean, because when that all happened, he laughed at first, and then she's giving him the side eye. The one thing we didn't, because the cameras weren't on. I mean, somebody's got that tape. So at some point, he looked to his left, and then he realized, uh-oh, and then he snapped, just like that. Because I'll be blunt, she's got him by the short and curlies, and has for 20 years.
The funniest part about that is Chris Rock he said, okay, like he could have chosen violence and decided not to, because there's so many lines he could have used when he sat down. Someone said if he hit Dave Chappelle would still be telling jokes about.
I read that too.
About him, right? And Chris Rock, I think in an earlier version would have done the same, but he chose clemency, because Like, just think of all the jokes he could have just been like, at least your promise her name in my mouth. Like,
there's that. And okay, since you didn't see it, that wasn't even the worst Will Smith joke of the night.
No.
Regina Hall, who was one of the three co-hosts, and I love Regina. I just love everything about her. But she was doing this bit where she was like calling up men to sort of, do extra security. So it was like Bradley Cooper, Simu Liu, doesn't matter. Tyler Perry and somebody else. So I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Timothy Chalamet. My wife was still awake for that, and then she said, I had to ask, like, because he didn't have a shirt on.
He wasn't wearing a shirt.
He wasn't wearing a shirt. So I said, like,
probably thought he was going to be the talk of Oscar night.
Yeah, probably. So I said to my wife, like, is this guy really that good looking? And she says, looks at me like, with the little 12-year-old? No, okay. Made me feel a lot better about myself. I got to tell you that. So anyway, she says, Will, I mean, I know Jade will be okay with it. Come on up. Something to that effect. Going on their open marriage.
Yeah.
And shit like that. So like that was technically worse, but you're not going to go up there but he was joking there, and like it's and then he does.
Let's just say, sorry, you finished, and then I want to say.
Well, I was going to say, then also too, he does his speech, and he opens up, "I'm a protector." Oh, fuck off! You are not. You are not. You are in a very strange relationship, and your buddies make fun of you. 50 Cent released a text chat that they had, where like after the red table talk, he said, like, more or less, he said, like, she made you look like a chump, which she did. So here's the thing. Chris Rock is obviously going to be okay. I was looking at Will Smith Wikipedia. He's got one movie coming out where he's playing a slave. But I don't think there's anything else in the tank.
Sexual or otherwise.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's right there. There's nothing better.
Thoughts pop into my head. But all right, so just a couple other things. First of all, my favorite reaction to this was, wait, we could have done this to Ricky Gervais. I like that one.
I'll tell you my tweet after too when you're done.
Yeah, go ahead. What's yours? Do it now.
Diedrich Bader. I might be saying. I never know how to pronounce his name.
Diedrich Bader's right.
Is it right? Okay. All right. So he said, like, as a minor celebrity, I think I can get away with anything over the next 24 to 30 hours, and no one will notice.
I saw that too.
Okay. Yeah.
But the other thing about this whole thing is, so one of my good friends is a stand-up comedian. So I asked him about what he thought about this, and his thought was, this sucks for stand-up comedians like anything. He actually told me a story today where he told one of his buddies was told a joke about wasn't even about Trump. It was like a Trump era, and some guy in the audience shouted out, it's essentially saying thing, keep the name of my president out of your mouth. And the guy's like, okay, whatever. And then didn't think anything of it. The show continues normal. And the two of them were out in the back afterwards just talking. And the guy came up and he said, you ever talk about my president like that again, you end up with a bullet in your head. Okay.
Wow.
So that happened 3 months ago. And he's like, shit like this happens all the time. People thinking they can interrupt and do whatever. He's like, this does not help comedy whatsoever. And that, I understand she has alopecia. She's had the same haircut for 20 years. I'm sorry, which I think was sort of the joke anyway.
No, I mean, like she's been open about it from what I understand, but then, you look at
how many people actually knew about her alopecia? Honestly,
I'll admit I did.
I had no idea.
I mean, you look at her head right now. There looks to be peach fuzz all over.
It does.
And so, like, apparently she's got that one line there that almost looks like surgery, which I don't think it is. And I don't disbelieve her. I believe she has it, but I don't. But she's also 5'1" and cute as shit. And she can pull that off better than
Right.
99% of women can.
We're going. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, it entertains Saul from the fact that the world's going to hell. So easier to blame Will Smith than actually fix anything. So
hey, let's use this as a uniting thing. Let's just do that. Because nobody in your country gets along. Oops, I was moving the computer.
We actually passed something. The House passed something today, like 414-5. So
what was that?
It had to do with like truth in or opening up investment vehicles to more people in the country through their jobs.
Okay.
So yeah, we had a whole thing at our company about asking our congressman to vote for it, but they didn't need our help. So.
Cool.
Hey, my point is we passed something that actually did something like easily today.
Yeah, so that was sort of my
Thank you, Will Smith, for that.
I try to come up with a different thing because like there's been piece upon piece on this. So I just thought that was sort of interesting. But man, well, we'll see. It's an obituary moment for them both now, sadly.
Right. Well, it's going to be.
Yeah, I wonder what they'll do though. I mean, what do you think is the right? Before we move on, I want to ask, like, what's the right punishment? I don't think it's for me. It's not give the Oscar back. I wouldn't let it back next year.
That's what I was gonna say. Like anyone who also wants the Oscar to go back, just shut up. Mm-hmm. Like, come on.
I agree.
They gave a standing ovation Oscar to
Roman Polanski.
Mm-hmm. He hasn't given anything back. Harvey Weinstein hasn't given anything back. Like, it's not even the worst thing that's happened at the Oscars.
No.
Everyone brought up John Wayne when Marlon Brando refused to accept his Academy Award in 1972. He had the Native American woman whose name I can't remember go up there. That's right. And talked about how she didn't want Native Americans depicted that way anymore. And John Wayne had to be held back by 6 people from going up there and beating the crap out of her up on stage.
Well, wait, I didn't know that part.
Oh yeah.
He was going to go up and beat up. Oh, that would have been. Well, he did spank women on camera on those films. Those films age so bad.
Huh. He also said that white people needed land and then Native Americans are selfishly hoarding it for themselves.
That resurfaced Playboy interview. See, yeah. Playboy wasn't just boobs.
I just read it for the articles. I didn't realize it was anyway.
Well, now nobody's reading it, so there you go.
That's true. I used to read Mad Magazine for the boobs, so yeah, that was the other thing. Just let's not do that. So anyway, I don't know where we go from here. I understand. I figured this would be what you're going to talk about. Because of whatever's talked about, but yeah,
it's certainly on a lot of people's mind. It's still in the news cycle. Yeah, so I mean, I just wanted to give my pair of pennies on that. So, but yeah, that was. Will, I still like you as an actor. I think you're an underappreciated rapper. I really think so. A lot of people don't believe that, but I do. But man, you know. When I was talking about this with Andrea and Brad, like off air yesterday, they said, "Well, it's really none of your business." Well, yeah. So, but why do we all know this? Because they did it. They did this to themselves.
Yeah. So
there's that. So I guess should we go to? I know a few people who we've lost. Do we want to go into that now?
Yeah, might as well.
So, before that, you are the king of prognostication. Thank you. Canada is in the World Cup. Yes, and you were right.
I called that
before the tournament.
Yeah, I called that after the U.S.-Canada game, which opened everything up. Because I watched that game all the way through, and the U.S. was leading, and Canada tied it late. But that Canadian team is really good. It's really good. And I'm not surprised you guys finished first. So you may end up finishing. No, I think you're still going to finish first. Yeah, right now, Mexico's beating, as you speak, Mexico's beating El Salvador 2-0, and Canada's losing to Panama 1-0. But I don't think that's going to change because I think you guys have a better goal differential.
Does that matter in seeding?
No, well, once you're in, you're in. If so, okay, well, I'll take this right now. So we're gonna have the draw for the World Cup, even though there are 3 teams you don't know who they are coming up on Friday, I think. So 3 teams we don't know who they are. So whoever finishes 4th in North America, which appears to be Costa Rica, is going to play New Zealand for 1 spot. There's a game coming up between Australia and United Arab Emirates, and whoever wins that plays Peru for 1 spot. And then there's 1 spot left in Europe. Wales is going to play the winner of Scotland and Ukraine, but for obvious reasons, Scotland and Ukraine has been postponed until they figure something out.
And Russia is completely kicked out.
Yeah, they were completely kicked out. Yeah, although they did apply to host the Euros and the World Cup coming up. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, as Wayne Gretzky always said, well, give every shot. You don't, if you don't take the shot there, you're not going to make it there. Eh?
That is exactly what he said. It was very good. Your Wayne Gretzky's getting even better. So
it's getting more else.
When it comes to your impressions, your Wayne Gretzky's a great one. So
well, I've set the bar so low.
Yes,
with everything else, they're the crappy one I do.
That is true. So anyway, so they're going to do that. So if the U.S. and Mexico, the way it's divided, they already have the top 8 seeds now. Portugal got the 8th seed based off of the rankings, what they're going to do, which means Germany's going into pot 2, believe it or not. But if Mexico and the U.S. both qualify, which they should, although the U.S. is losing 2-0 in Costa Rica right now, if they give up 4 more goals in the next 10 minutes, then they're in trouble. Then they actually also will go into pot 2. And the ones that haven't qualified will officially go into pot 4. So it doesn't matter. Canada is probably going to be in pot 3 just because they're going to be basing it on rankings, on the FIFA rankings as to where you end up. So you're probably going to end up, you won't play the US or Mexico or Costa Rica if they make it because they divide it up that way. You can't play your own continent, except for Europe where you have no choice. But yeah, it's they'll do that, I believe, on Friday. And we'll know where everybody's going. It's Qatar. Qatar looks like the only country that's going to qualify for the first time, and they totally deserve it, right?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, all right. So to the people who have passed away, let's start in wrestling.
Okay.
So the first one is Pepper Martin passed away.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, he was also an actor. But he known as Howard Martin, the Mask, and Pepper Martin. He passed away at the age of 85. He's Canadian from Hamilton, Ontario.
Oh, nice stopping.
Yeah, he debuted in 57. It was in the Indianapolis territory and stuff like that. But he ended up appearing in The Longest Yard, Mod Squad. He was actually. Do you remember Superman, the original 1980 version?
The Christopher Reeve version?
Christopher Reeve, yeah.
Yeah.
You remember the scene where Superman gets has his power taken by kryptonite, and then he gets in the fight with the truck driver, and the truck driver kicks his ass? That's Pepper Martin.
Oh, okay.
And then in Superman 2, they meet again, and Superman kicks his ass because he's no longer depowered. Yeah, so that was Pepper Martin. But he passed away at the age of 85. Also, Rocky King passed away.
Yeah, Rocky, I remember. I read an obituary about him. Apparently, like he was like super humble, gave a lot back to the church and community and whatnot. Remember, I said like when I was a kid, I was into the Dukes of Hazzard. So, admittedly, I had the rebel flag. I didn't know any better.
Yeah, right. I mean, I still have a Matchbox General Lee downstairs.
Well, early 80s in Canada, we didn't think about that sort of shit. But so he was wrestling in the NWA, which became WCW, in around 1990. So I would have been 18 then. And he started doing a program as the lackey for the Fabulous Freebirds, who dressed all in Confederate flags.
Okay.
That felt weird. Watching that, I remember thinking that. And then for a brief time, they called him Little Richard Marley.
Mm-hmm.
Which, all right. But I can't remember if he even wore the Freebird makeup with the Confederate flag on his face. I can't remember. God, I hope not. But it was indirectly uncomfortable, though I don't think they even saw it that way.
Right.
Doubt. Michael Hayes, the main Freebird, he's an interesting guy. I think he thinks he's one of those white guys who thinks of himself in a way so cool that he can use certain words he shouldn't use.
Got it. Yeah.
He was suspended as his role as a producer because he told Mark Henry, I guess, Mark Henry, who was like,
yeah.
Okay. For those who don't know, Mark Henry was a former Olympic weightlifter.
He's gargantuan.
Yeah, and he's 400 pounds.
Yeah, he's the person like they all gang up on to get out of the ring now in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, Lance Storm said like Mark Henry was. He said like he offered that he would go to Lance Storm's house the first time that Lance's daughter brought home a date. Just you're here to take out Lance's daughter, just shit like that.
That's hilarious.
Anyways, so Michael said to Mark Henry, I'm amazed that he still survived this. He's still there today. Said, I guess he thought Mark was doing something, I guess, not cool. So he said, I'm more of an N-word than you. Mark didn't like that too much, and
fists were cuffed.
No, fists were not cuffed. No. Luckily for Michael Hayes, they were not. I don't
think I'd even want to be in the end of a 10 punch from Mark Henry.
Yeah, Mark did everything proper, went through the channels, and Michael Hayes was suspended for 6 months. And it was just probably one of those things where he probably used that word without understanding, which is stupid for an adult at any point.
Yeah.
But sometimes we all have a blind spot.
Right.
And I don't know that I necessarily want to give him I don't know. I don't know the guy. I just knew Chavo Guerrero, who knew him, like the guy.
Got it.
So take that for what it is.
All right. Well,
yeah. Rocky, from what I read, was just like a great guy.
He was either 60 or 61. They weren't quite sure when he passed. So,
okay.
Now we go to Canada. We got lots of Canadians. Joan Langdon, competitive swimmer and breaststroker in a couple of Olympics, passed away at the age of 99.
Damn.
Yeah. So set the world record in 1940 in the 50-yard breaststroke and won the Velma Springstead Trophy as Canada's outstanding female athlete in 1942 and 43. So, as well as being a member of the British Columbia Sports Hall of Fame. So, there you go. We also lost Pete Ward, member of the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. Played from 62 to 70 with the Orioles, White Sox, and Yankees. And was coach for the Braves for 1 year. He passed away at the age of 84. Oh, we lost him.
No. My dog, he's playing around with the toy and it went underneath the thing. So
either you got it or there's barking.
Well, I don't know if there'd be any barking, but it'd just be a sad look. And that actually works more on my heart than barking, to tell you the truth.
Understood.
I got a little corgi, everyone. You can follow him, Jasper _ the friendly corgi on Instagram. Thought I'd throw a quick plug there for him.
100%. He gets mad if you don't. We lost a couple of members of a couple of folks from the Canadian Football League. Marty Martinello, who's a member of the 1965 Grey Cup champion Hamilton Tiger Cats, passed away at the age of 91. He had a 13-year career in the CFL with Montreal, BC, Toronto, and Hamilton. Also, Johnny Fripp passed away at the age of 101. Played with the Ottawa Rough Riders, the Lachine Flyers, Montreal Hornets, and Ottawa Trojans. The oldest living member of the Canadian Football League. he passed away. From the world of hockey, we lost Gil Stein, who was the president of the National Hockey League from 92 to 93. He was a guy who was in charge for Bettman, believe it or not. There was somebody who was in charge of hockey before for Bettman. He passed away.
Oh, Bettman.
Bettman, yes.
Okay.
Gary Bettman.
My hearing must be going. I heard Benin. It's like there's a hockey association for something in Benin.
No. So yeah, he was the last president in NHL, and then they changed it to commissioner when Gary Bettman came in. So
I don't even remember that.
Yeah. Well, 1993 was, a weird year.
But it's like Bettman just feels like he's been there forever.
Well, I mean, the last time Bettman wasn't the commissioner of hockey, the reigning champion was a Canadian hockey team. That's how long it's been.
Well, yeah. Well, it won't be that team, Montreal, coming this year.
No, well, they've come close since then, but
yeah. I think we should go back to that bet idea, and then just like right before the NBA starts. That was sort of like where we do a draw of NHL and NBA, which will be sort of interesting because we don't know who's going in the NHL yet. That'd be a fun one to do.
Well, somebody did something the other day. I can't remember who. Or it might have been Dan. What's his name from Boston? Dan Kelly, saying that the last time the Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup, there were only 6 teams in the league. It was 1967. Mm-hmm. Since then, the Blue Jays have won twice, and the Raptors have won once. So what happens first? Toronto wins another Stanley Cup, or Toronto wins the Super Bowl? An expansion team. I thought that was pretty good.
Hey, the Cubs broke it.
True. It is true. Also passing away, Eugene Melnick passed away.
Yeah.
The owner of the Senators.
The Senators. Can I say something on that?
Sure, go ahead, 100%.
Okay. I'm a Sens fan, first and foremost. I have been for, I don't want to say from the beginning, but when I moved to Ottawa and my original team, the Quebec Nordiques, moved to Colorado, at that time I was a Captain Canada mode. I couldn't cheer for an American team, or in hockey anyway. Melnick was a lousy owner. I think, unfortunately, especially like afterwards. So to anyone now saying that, I don't wish anything bad like this to happen to any individual. You have to be one awful individual. So like when, to the people on Twitter, like some of the people in Sens Nation sort of like celebrating this, go fuck yourself. Mm-hmm. I just sort of like want to say that, and that's not the type of people I want to associate with in any capacity. Like you can dislike people, but that's still someone's dad, someone's.
And it's not like he was a terrible owner. It's not like he committed some weird crime. No,
he was just not. He was just not necessarily the best owner in sport.
I wish the Jacobs family was not involved with my Bruins, but I certainly don't wish Jeremy Jacobs dead.
Right. And that's sort of how I feel. It's like you did something super classy a year ago when someone passed away and you said, I'm just not going to mention it. Mm-hmm. And that was, and you had your reasons for dislike, but you didn't, I don't think you ever wished death on him.
No.
On that individual, nor would you. That's I just wanted to say that because like that's something that I saw from a lot of Sens fans, and that's not right.
So anyway, by the way, I have good news. I have good news, by the way. The Reds, the United States lost 2-0, so they qualified for the World Cup. So all they had to do was not lose 6-0.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. So, and they, from what I could tell, they played like they're trying not to lose 6-0. All right, from the world of sort of Canadian-related sports, one of the greatest curlers of all time, Helmer Strombo, passed away at the age of. He was born in 1948 and died in 2022. So that makes him 52 plus 21 is 73. So he passed away at the age of 73. He won the European Championships in 75 and 2-time Norwegian champion curler. So there you go. we cover all sports here.
Norway's got some good curlers. They do.
What?
Norway's got some good curlers.
They do indeed. From the world of college sports, Joe Williams, who is a member of the Furman Hall of Fame, 3-time champion of the SoCon, 5-time SoCon tournament champion, passed away at the age of 88. He was a coach. His nephew is Brian Johnson, who pitched in the major leagues for a while. He was 88 years old. Also passing away, one of the more interesting people in college, honestly, Joan Joyce passed away, who was the college softball coach at Florida Atlantic, as well as their golf coach for many years at the same time. She had a 1,674-1 record, 598 winning percentage. But she also set records on the LPGA Tour as a golfer and played on the USA Women's National Basketball team.
Holy crap.
It's pretty well-rounded.
Yeah.
She was playing LPGA from 77 to 95 and basketball from 64, USA women's team from on 64 to 65, which passed away at the age of 81. So golfer, professional golfer, national team member in basketball, golf coach, and one of the winningest softball coaches in NCAA history. But other than that, she didn't do very much in sports.
Empty life.
Yeah. So also, by the way, was a player and coached for the Connecticut Clippers volleyball team at one point in her life as well. So just to give you another thing. So we lost Olympic silver medalist in the 200, Kirk Baptiste, passed away at the age of 59.
I remember him. Unless I'm confusing him with someone else. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, he won the 200 meters with a time of 19.96 seconds. It's the first time in the history that anyone ever broke a 20 seconds in 200 meters and finished second.
What did he die of?
He developed HIV in the 90s and started abusing drugs as an escape for it. And he's been in treatment and stuff. So my guess is, it doesn't actually say, but my guess is whenever you start using drugs, it's just complications.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do want to put out one of the great 70s game show people, particularly for the match game. Scoey Mitchell passed away at the age of 92. If you watch a match game, you'll know who I'm talking about. If you don't watch a match game, then I'll just move on. There aren't that many of those match game contestants left, but Scoey was one of my favorites. 92 years old. Everybody else we lost is from music. Starting with Glenn Glenn, whose actual name was Orrin Glenn Troutman, but went by Glenn Glenn. A rockabilly singer in the 50s that went on for several decades. Passed away at the age of 87. We also lost member of the Christian Music Hall of Fame, LaShawn Pace, passed away at the age of 60. Has discography started in 1988 and goes all the way through 2021. Had been on dialysis for years and was awaiting a kidney and died of organ failure at the age of 60. From country music artist Jeff Carson, passed away at the age of 58, had 14 singles in country charts, including the #1 hit, Not on Your Love, and had top 10 hits with The Car, Holding On to Something, and a top 20 with Real Life, I Never Was the Same Again. He retired actually from country music in 2009 and was working as a police officer at the time of his death. He had a heart attack and passed away at the age of 58. We lost Bobby Weinstein, music executive, and wrote songs including Going Out of My Head, It's Gonna Take a Miracle, and I'm on the outside, I'm looking in. He passed away at the age of 82. He's a member of the he's one of the people who's responsible for the creation of the Songwriters Hall of Fame as well. He was its president between 93 and 99. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame along with his co-writer Teddy Randazzo in 2007. And then I guess the two biggest names who passed away this week. One passed away today. Tom Parker of The Wanted passed away at only the age of 31 or 33, excuse me.
What happened?
So he had glioblastoma, that his health had gone down very, very quickly. So he had in October of 2020, he diagnosed with inoperable grade 4 glioblastoma, had a seizure in July and was on the waiting list for an MRI. And that everything seemed like they were going okay and things got better. In November, he said that he had his results from his latest scan, and he says it's delighted to say he is stable. But yeah, his health deteriorated and he passed away. The Wanted, of course, probably best known for "I'm Glad You Came." Do you remember that song?
Vaguely, yeah.
My universe will never be the same. I'm glad you came. Yeah, they had a bunch of hits in like 2011 through 14, and then they broke up and all went their separate ways. But yeah, 33 is far too young to go. And of course, the biggest name this week, one of the saddest, Taylor Hawkins passed away.
Only 50.
At 50 years old. I'm going to presume from what we can tell, we're going to find out it was an interaction of a whole bunch of substances within his body.
Yeah. Well, they were in Colombia. Not that you want to make that leap, but it's not a hard leap to make. I hate to say. Yeah, they were going to be. They just canceled. I think they announced that this morning or yesterday that they canceled the rest of their tour. Which I mean, obviously,
which makes sense.
I didn't know that Dave Grohl considered him his best friend.
Yeah, well, I remember seeing at one point, it doesn't matter what happens, Taylor Hawkins is never getting thrown out of the band. So, you know what he did before he joined the Foo Fighters?
I do. Yeah, he was touring with Alanis.
Yeah, he was a touring drummer with Alanis. I
read that I forget what article. I don't know if it was an obituary or just something before. That she joked said like, oh, so you're gonna still keep in touch. I probably have this wrong, but you're still gonna keep in touch with me when you join the Foo Fighters. And that at that point they hadn't kicked out their drummer yet. so
yeah, they're the outpouring from like all corners of music from Taylor Hawkins and what a great guy he was. From like, there's tons of stuff from like Pat Benatar, like all across the whole spectrum. It was, yeah, I mean, 50 is just too young to go. And I also feel real bad for Dave Grohl, who's now twice lost his best friend. And he's that same picture. He had the picture of Kurt Cobain and him peeking his head out from behind, and they recreated it with Taylor and Kurt Cobain's spot with him peeking his head out from behind. And now they're both gone. I just like, it just sucks.
Yeah. Member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's one of the great bands ever. And I've said this before. I think when Kurt passed away so long ago, I think you can count on one hand the amount of people who thought that Dave Grohl would sort of exceed Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that he did.
Yeah, and apparently he and Dave Navarro and Chris Chaney formed a group called NHC that has an album coming out later this year.
Oh, okay.
So apparently we're going to get some more with, the two guys in Jane's Addiction. So
before we go on to the next thing, just sort of an add-on from something that we talked about 2 weeks ago. I learned more about Scott Hall's passing.
Okay, go ahead.
Turned out he wasn't clean at the end, unfortunately. I don't know why I felt the need to sort of bring that up, but I did. I just, you can want to correct the most minute details. I think it was Sean Waltman who said that he'd been struggling, especially through COVID. When he passed away, he was only 210 in weight.
Wow.
And for anyone who just saw the size of him, just like naturally built, like I can't imagine 210 pounds on that frame.
Yeah.
And he was apparently, because when he broke his hip, he was there for 5 days. before someone checked up on him
Wow.
because he couldn't reach the phone. So I can't even imagine the hell that he was going through, especially if he'd fallen under the influence again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Wow.
it makes the story a little bit more sadder for sure.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, let's get out of that. Elevator up, elevator down. So this is where I tell you who I think over the past week, or sometimes I sort of embellish a bit, or exceed parameters, who had a week that I thought might be sort of worth an elevator up, and who had an elevator down. One's super easy. That's someone who just signed with Seton Hall as their head coach. That's Shaheem Holloway, who took for the first time a number 15 seed to an Elite Eight. He's only 45. He doesn't have much of a resume. Well, I mean, in terms of a college basketball Hall of Fame resume at this point, but now he's going to be coaching his alma mater. Good luck to you. You've earned this. And I wish you the best. So I think that's certainly the easy one. A not so easy one, someone who we sort of looked down a little bit, but who's quietly had a not bad year in the NBA. He's going to be taking his team, well, he's not as a leader, but back to the playoffs. And he's settled in as the sixth man and having a better year than last year. And that's Kevin Love, who looks stat wise is better in terms of traditional and advanced than he was last year. This is a good role for him. He could probably do this for a couple more years. And I don't know that he's a Hall of Famer at this point, but let's say Cleveland, this is wide open.
Oh yeah, the East is wide open. I think that, well, I'll be honest, I don't think Cleveland can win it. I don't think Cleveland, Toronto, or the Bulls can win it. The Nets can, and they may be in the 9 spot.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's not impossible Cleveland beats Philly or Boston or Miami in the first round.
I've got him right now as somebody who'd be the 6th or 7th in terms of 6th man of the year voting. It's going to be Harrow, and it should be. And no one else is really close unless you want to say Jordan Clarkson maybe, but this is Harrow's to lose. Love he's improved from 33 from where he was last year. He's been relatively healthy. And, he's stat padding, and that's what he's kind of got to do. And so coming off a healthy year, maybe he can give a few more years. It's just sort of a bit of an outside of the box candidate.
All right. Here's a question for you, because another one that sort of fits the same mold that you're talking about, although not in a 6th role, but actually a starting role, although not as a main player. Where do you fall in Al Horford?
Oof. He's been that second tier on the other side of the fence for a long time. For whatever reason, he always sort of seems to be forgotten. I like Al Horford, but he gets forgotten so easily.
Yeah, it's just interesting because for the Basketball Hall of Fame, your college stuff counts too. And Horford's college stuff is almost unimpeachable, right? They're the last team to win back-to-back championships.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think he's got a better shot than Kevin Love does, but
if the Celtics somehow come out of the East and make the finals, I'm not saying they will, because like I said, I think it's a legitimate toss-up between 5 teams in the East. Any one of those 5 could make the championship. And I guess once you're there, you could always win it. But if they make it to the finals with him in his starting role, I think that makes a big difference in his career, because he's never been that far in the playoffs before. So
no, I like that. I like that a lot. I
thought that's where we're going, but Kevin Love's got more time than Horford does probably.
Yeah, and I also too. I mean, I wrote him off a year ago. I laughed openly, but I questioned, like a lot of people, the decision to have him on Team USA. Not for the reason that Jalen Rose did, but Yeah, so like I just thought that he deserves a little bit of love, pardon the lame pun. And my
I was
elevator,
expecting it. I'm just amazed it took you that long.
well, I'm not as quick as I used to be. I'm gonna be 50. God damn. Anywho, elevator down is someone who's been an elevator down before, and that's Deshaun Watson. Because did you see that deposition, the clips that came out?
I intentionally did not.
All right, I did. I kind of wish I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't see how he's not suspended by the league. I think that he will be. I think he has to be. I don't know for how long. But now this is going to be again. You and I said last year, like, what the hell are they doing? Like he got like how much money to do nothing last year?
The thing that drove me crazy was all the Texans fans talking about how they got fleeced in that deal. Texans fans like, I can't believe that's all we got for him. I'm like, he's not going to play this year, guys.
Yeah. And like one website, like they're granted the right wing, but they did raise a big point. They pretty much were calling him a fraud. So yeah, because he said, well, I want to go to some place where I can play for a black coach. Well, yeah, pick Cleveland. Pretty sure their head coach isn't black.
Well, their money though is very, very green.
Right. And
that's and he's gonna lose out $1 million if he gets suspended for the year.
Yeah,
and all that money, it's $1 million is all he loses.
How much?
$1 million, because everything else is guaranteed.
Oh, so he's gonna get that no matter what.
Except for $1 million, yeah.
Okay. So I mean it's the narrative on him. I mean, like I do believe in process and due process. Having said that, I mean, like I think we know when some people get off and they shouldn't. We know that. This feels like one of those things. I will never, ever understand the type of mentality that would make you want to go through these weird ways to get women.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
And as a reminder, it does not matter if he's guilty. Tom Brady was suspended under Article 44 because a court, they said the commissioner could suspend anyone for as long as he wants for any reason, is essentially what the court said. This 100% falls under that. He was embarrassed by what happened with Ray Rice. And he's never going to let that happen again. And if he comes down as draconian, like, Deshaun Watson's still getting his money.
He's getting his money, and the only other team this could possibly happen to is Detroit.
Well, can you imagine with Hard Knocks going there if they?
So and as a player, I love Deshaun. He's a
great player, 100% a great player.
One of my favorite players to absolutely watch, but he's got some. It's a weird fetish. I don't get it.
Yeah, and Tyreek Hill is a great wide receiver. He still beat the crap out of his wife.
That's true.
Like, there's difference between talent and personality, right? So
Ben Roethlisberger, that's going to be something that, he's lucky. He's so lucky that shit happened when it did, as opposed to the Me Too era.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's a lucky guy.
100%. So who knows exactly what happens. It must be very, very weird to be Baker Mayfield right now.
He does have one of my favorite series of football commercials. I don't know why, I just like that goofy shit, but I do.
Yeah, I mean, they're funny commercials, but what's he gonna do? Like,
well, do
you think they'll have a commercial where he turns the keys over to Deshaun?
That would be awesome, though.
At home with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, can you come over? I got a knot near my glutes.
Yeah.
We might as well get yeah, you're right, though. He had to get the guaranteed money because his endorsements are dead. 100%. Dead. Well, speaking of quarterbacks, New Orleans just signed Andy Dalton. So I figure we start the Super Bowl parade right in the dome. I'm not making that same bet he did last year. There's no way I'm doing that.
The Red Rocket. Or Red Rifle, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. By the way, you saw what happened in Tampa today?
Yeah.
I'm not saying Tom Brady doesn't mind this, but Tom Brady doesn't mind this.
I'll say that Tom Brady is a better GM than LeBron James.
100%. That's easy.
Whew. Oh, holy crap. You built that team, but I'll give him credit. I mean, like he's defying his age. LeBron is playing his heart out.
He is. At the same time, though, he cannot be the MVP. There are people making MVP arguments for LeBron. His team is in 11th place. No, not you. But there are people nationally. Like his coach was making, I know the record sucks, but he's the MVP. No, he is not.
I got Jokic right now.
What?
I got Jokic right now.
Jokic is a good choice. Embiid's a good choice. Giannis is a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Celtics, they lost tonight to the Heat, but the Celtics have had a crazy run.
I love Tatum. Oh, I love that guy.
He's gotten so much better. And again, he's 20. He just turned 24.
I know we're going off topic here, but since this just happened here, Robert Williams, another guy we talked about two weeks ago. So like what, he's out for 4 weeks?
It said I saw 2 to 4 and I saw 4 to 6. Let's just presume the Celtics have to win the first round of the playoffs to get Robert Williams back.
Yeah, he is. I don't know. Well, if I was a Celtics fan, just the type of players that I like, he'd probably be my favorite.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Celtics have 4 people who I want there to be there long term. Like the other guys are great to have, but if they rotate around, that's actually, you know what? We're up to a 5th.
Okay, well, so, I can guess the first 2.
Yeah,
Tatum and Brown.
Tatum and Brown, and then Time Lord.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great nickname. It's because he was late for something once. But it's just a really good name because he just stops everything. Marcus Smart, he will never be as good on another team or as important to another team as for the Celtics. He takes terrible shots all the time. I understand that. He also makes ridiculous plays all the time, and he's the heart and soul of the team. When he's out, the team plays worse. Mm-hmm. Like it just comes down to that. So he's 4, and I honestly think like Peyton Pritchard's great, but I feel like we could get another outside shooter at some point. Grant Williams has gone from, hey, he's not bad to he shoots too much, which was last year too. He's always in the right place. He doesn't take a shot he shouldn't be taking, and he's just absolutely locked down on defense.
Do you guys still have that player named Taco?
No, Taco's gone.
Where is he now?
He signed with Cleveland in the offseason. I don't know where he went from there.
Okay.
He signed with Cleveland in the offseason. Yeah, no, he's gone. So we have Sam Hauser instead in his role, who's just a shooter more than anything. But yeah, so those are the guys. Pritchard to be the 6th, and then I like Derek White. We're going to have him for a while, but he takes some lousy shots. It's nice having Tice back. Tice is another guy who's more useful to Celtics than in any other team. And Horford at some point is going to go. And I don't know. We'll see about everybody else. But yeah, I like the Celtics team. Even if they don't win, like the East is just too tough this year. If they don't win, as long as they get to the second round, if they get to the second round, lose to Milwaukee, great. As long as they don't get blown out.
I was reading something. If Toronto can get through, because I'm not sure where they're going to fall right now. So the Sixers and the Celtics haven't set, they might have that whole backs issue.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. I saw that. So, we'll see.
And of course, we don't know who they are. I guess we will.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just know Tatum's not one of them.
Tatum is not one of them. That is true. Yeah. So, anyway, all right. So, we want to get to the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah. Oh.
Just by the way, I want to repeat, United States lost to Costa Rica 2-0. We qualify for World Cup. USA.
Oh, that's our wager, buddy. Who goes further?
You want to do it before the draw?
No. It's just I'll make the same bet no matter what. I mean, like if we're in a shit group, we're in a shit group.
All right, fine. So yeah, right, that's fine. We'll make the bet right now. Who goes further?
Yeah.
I like my chances because I don't have to be in Germany's group no matter what. So if we get real lucky, it's possible. Like it's possible we could be in not the worst group.
Because I think if you said like they're both going to be like tier 3, right? So,
well, I mean, no, Canada's going to be tier 3. United States is going to be tier 2. Mexico and United States are tier 2.
Okay, well, I mean, like whatever. I'm just gonna like support my country on this one. It was just a fun beer bet here, and whatever. I'm gonna owe you the brewery anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm 100% in on that.
Cool.
Mexico, by the way, beat El Salvador 2-0, so they also qualify. Canada lost to Panama 1-0, but that makes absolutely no difference. And Honduras lost 2-1 to Jamaica, meaning they won no games out of 14.
Jamaica?
No, Honduras.
Well, Honduras.
It was qualified.
I thought you said Honduras won.
No, Honduras lost 2-1.
Oh, sorry, I misheard that.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to start with the Savannah Bananas are my good.
Oh, okay. Is that some kind of strip club I should be going to? Or wait a minute, I don't want to go to a strip club called the Bananas. No, I'm out.
The Savannah Bananas call themselves the world famous baseball circus. They compete in the Coastal Plain League in the West Division. Mm-hmm. They are an American collegiate summer baseball team, and they are just fun and do stupid stuff and they're everything awesome about the minor leagues. They had one the other day where they had a half inning an inning where if any ball went to the stands and got caught by a fan, counted as an out.
I almost did a spit take there. Wait, how are they allowed to do that?
It's a summer league college team. Who cares?
Okay.
So somebody fouled out and a guy made an incredible catch and the entire crowd went crazy because it ended the inning.
That's fun. All right.
Yesterday in the stands, they figured out that Spaceman Bill Lee was there. The former.
Yes. Yeah. I know who that is.
They're like, we've just been informed Spaceman Bill Lee is here. Bill, you want to come down to pitch an inning?
Did he pitch?
75-year-old Bill Lee,
former Montreal Expo,
former Expo, former Red Sox.
Yeah,
walks onto the field with a half-drunk beer in a Bananas jersey they threw on him, and proceeds to strike out the kid he's pitching to. He threw a 75-mile-an-hour fastball for his first pitch. Nice. At 75 years old.
So is that the first time someone legitimately threw their age?
I don't know, but it was impressive. And then he threw a couple of balls, and then he threw an ephus pitch that the kid fouled off. Mm-hmm. And then he threw another ephus pitch that the kid missed and struck him out, picked up his beer and walked off the field.
That's awesome.
So
right, I got to Google or YouTube this.
Oh yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on Twitter today. So I was like, that's kind of funny with the thing, but this is making baseball fun. Like people are enjoying themselves. I know you can't do this in a real game, but if you're gonna be a college summer league team or a barnstorming team or whatever, just have freaking fun with baseball. Make the fans enjoy it. Get them involved.
I'm looking forward to my first independent league baseball with the Gold Eyes here.
Nice. Yeah. We have, like I said, we got the independent 8-ball team here who won the championship last year, the Schaumburg Boomers. Actually, we drove by the Florence Yalls Stadium on the way back, who they beat in the championship. Yeah, the Y'_ALLS is the name of the team, the Yalls from Florence, Kentucky. So
I don't know how I feel about that name.
Yeah, it sucked. I'm glad they lost. But yeah, anyway. Oh, just by the way, one last thing about Tennessee, Dollywood. We went there because my wife really wanted to go. I honestly didn't really know much about Dollywood.
How was it?
Fantastic. One of the best amusement parks I've ever been to in my entire life. Wow. Super clean. The rides are fun. Merchandise was actually like a t-shirt was like $18, which is exactly what you kind of expect to pay for a t-shirt. As opposed to we bought a hat for my wife at Mammoth Cave, which is also a really cool place. But the hat was like $40, which is insane for like a trucker hat like this. But yeah, it was awesome. Dollywood is super fantastic, and I recommend everyone go.
Cool.
So there you go. Yeah. All right. So the bad.
Still with baseball.
Yeah, we'll go back to baseball.
Okay.
It's going to be overtime rules. is the
Oh,
bad.
in general. Okay, yeah.
General.
Mhm.
So I gave credit to baseball a couple weeks ago about the rule changes that they put in place and things along those lines. Well, they decided to reinstate one of the dumb ones, which is putting a runner on second base in extra innings. Like, just use a beach ball at that point. Like, why are we like? I don't want to be this crazy traditionalist. I'm in favor of the DH in both leagues. I think it's more interesting game. I know they're like, oh, it ruined strategy. Oh, yes, it's very strategic to get 3 free outs a game. Congratulations. Your pitchers in the National Leagues. I discount all pitchers, starting pitchers in National Leagues stats because they get a free inning of worth of outs every game. But just this is so dumb and gimmicky. And why? Like, can you imagine Mariano Rivera coming in, having to start with a runner on second and just like giving up a hit and the game ends? Like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Yes, that the only time I could sort of justify that is if you're doing a doubleheader and we're back to 9 innings.
Well, at least we're back to 9 innings. I can maybe understand it for a doubleheader. I get that.
Yeah.
But what are we doing? It's just dumb. And while we're talking about dumb, the new NFL overtime rule is insanely stupid.
How do you tweak it to make it worse? I mean, how many more ties? We should do an over-under on ties this year.
Both teams have to get the ball. Okay. And then the first team gets the ball the second time and scores. Well, it's not fair. The second team didn't get the ball the second time. Like, at what point do we stop this? Play fucking defense. Play defense.
And they didn't add back the extra 5 minutes either, did they?
I don't think they did.
I mean, I can
talk, but I mean, it's only for the playoffs. So I think in the playoffs it's 15 minutes anyway.
Well, yeah,
they're keeping the normal thing for the whatever, but just play defense. What are we doing?
Good. Who knows? I don't know what they're doing.
Like, if you've made the rules so one-sided that a defense can't get a stop, keep someone getting on the end zone, that's not the defense's fault. That's the rules' fault. Like, let's just play defense.
They came up with something that really nobody's fond of. So congratulations.
Oh, there are people out there who are really fond of this, but
I'm not.
It's dumb. I hate it. Just stop. While we're at it, get rid of the breakaways in hockey too. The shootout. There's nothing wrong with a freaking tie.
Yeah, I flip flop on that one because I mean I still remember like back when at the end of 3 periods there was nothing. There was a shit ton of ties back then. The 5 minutes of overtime, because they've got it 3-on-3, you're not going to a shootout nearly as much as you think you would because they've got it as 3-on-3. Saying that, I think maybe the best way to do that there is just extend it from 5 to 10 minutes. You're going to limit. There's not going to be a lot of ties.
Yeah, just keep it. Then fine, just keep it 3-on-3.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But like, I'm sorry, it's dumb. Anyway, so. That's my rant on that. That's just the bad. The ugly, I'm going back to international soccer. I heard you talking last week with Dave that I'm the soccer guy, and I just like you're the women's sports guy in this thing.
I'm the women's tennis guy.
Women's tennis and now swimming.
I suppose not. Yeah, I went back there again. Well, yeah, they deserve it. Figure something out. They won't.
I understand, but international soccer outside of the United States, Canada, Western Europe, and I'll give Japan and South Korea and Australia and New Zealand. So out of those places, it's a free-for-all with what's going on with the stands. I don't know if you saw what happened in Africa the other day.
In terms of
the World Cup qualifying games between Nigeria and Ghana and Egypt and Senegal.
I didn't see what happened today because that was
yesterday,
right?
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday. Okay,
so I'll start with Ghana and Nigeria. Ghana ended up tying, and Ghana advanced on away goals because they needed a tiebreaker. Everybody knows going in. They tied 0-0 the first game in Ghana. They tied 1-1 in Lagos in game 2, which means Ghana had 1 away goal to 0 away goals for Nigeria, so Ghana advances. The fans stormed the field and started assaulting the players and refs.
I didn't see. Oh, okay.
This cannot happen.
Any fatalities? I hope not.
No, everybody got off the field. But we just saw what happened in Mexico. This cannot happen. You cannot have people's personal health at risk from the fans in a game. You got to figure out a way that can't happen. I don't know how you do it, but you've managed to do it in other places. You cannot have that happen. Then
go on. Sorry. No, I was just going to say, like, I mean, look, what kid grows up watching all this and says, you know what, Mom, I think I want to be a soccer referee.
Hey, there are masochists everywhere, my friend.
This is true. Well, you know, Will Smith, if acting doesn't work out. Sorry.
Anyway, they threw Austin Rivers out of a game in basketball today for an elbow that did not touch him. That referee, like, if they went to the video and still threw him out of the game, that referee needs to be suspended, or this is a Donahue situation if it's that bad a call.
I got to see that movie. Oh, I saw that thing you were talking about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, Jerry West should sue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The what's
Laker, Showtime.
Showtime. Yeah. 100% he should sue.
Ooh.
It's gotten a little bit better, but that was just absolute unnecessary character assassination for the logo.
Yeah, I've only seen the first episode. I haven't seen the rest yet.
Yeah. So anyway.
But yeah, go on. So what else happened?
Then what happened in Senegal, Egypt? There were more laser pointers than at a rave. Like, they're lining up for penalty shots, and Mohamed Salah, who may be the best goal scorer in the world at the moment, has 100 laser pointers pointed at him all over his face and everything. Ended up shooting over the net and missing in the penalty shot. Senegal advanced 3-1 on penalty shots. 3-1. The first 4 people missed their penalty shots. When does that happen? Like, never. But because everyone's being blinded, referees, goalies, everything, by laser pointers all over the stands. Now, this happened in Egypt as well when Senegal was there. The Egyptian fans did that to the Senegalese players as well. Has to be an immediate expulsion. Has to be. You can't have a game decided because a player can't see.
I didn't even know that people still had those things.
Oh, and they're super bright. Like, just look up Mohamed Salah and just the picture of him. Like, his whole face is, like, not just his eyes, his whole face is green from all the laser pointers on him. Like, what are we doing? You can't, like, FIFA has to make this fair. Like, I understand there's going to be when we saw I was watching Mexico Honduras the other night, and they're playing in Honduras, and every time a player moved, the field was ripping up. It was painted dirt, basically. Like, that stuff is gonna happen. It's gonna be the same for both teams. I get that, but you can't have people's physical integrity, the players, threatened by what's going on in the stands. You just cannot do it. And they have to figure this out.
Something like that. I mean, not just for a superstar, but just for anybody. That's your eyes, man. Like, that is potential permanent damage.
100%. And now each and just by the way, one last thing. Italy, shut up. They're like, oh, we only lost one game and we didn't get to go. There are 13 spots in Europe. Score a goal against Northern Ireland. Score a goal against North Macedonia. Like, these are people, if you're this good, you should be beating.
Absolutely.
Egypt went undefeated in their thing, lost in a penalty shootout, and doesn't get to go.
Sporting the best, one of the top 5 players in the world.
Yeah. it was either going to be Mohamed Salah or Sané weren't going to get to go to the World Cup because they got drawn together. Like getting out of Africa is insane. Now this whole thing's going to get changed because next World Cup is going to have 48 teams. So there's going to be a lot more spots for Africa and Asia and other places. Mm-hmm. Europe, I think, gets one more spot, but it opens it up more to the rest of the world, which is what they need to do to democratize it. And they're getting talent from all over now in the top leagues. Make everything better, spread the money around, stuff along those lines. So this is going to go away, but shut up, Italy. Italy always bitches about everything that doesn't go their way. There was a World Cup, or is it European? I think it's the European Championship. I want to say in 2004, I think it was 2004, where Italy was going to advance the second round unless Denmark and Sweden played a game that ended in a 2-2 tie. That was the only way somehow mathematically they wouldn't advance to the next round. Guess what happened to Denmark and Sweden?
2-2 tie.
They had a 2-2 tie.
Mm-hmm.
And they accused both teams of collusion and everything else. I'm like, win your games, and it doesn't matter. They do this every time they screw up. It's never their fault. Like, you want to know what Italy's real problem was? My indoor soccer team that plays pickup is more creative in front of the goal than they are. They get within 40 yards and just shoot straight at it. They had 32 shots against North Macedonia. The North Macedonian keeper had to make one good save.
It's sort of like, if someone's standing in front of a firing squad and they keep missing.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing? I'm sorry, Italy. You won Europe. You looked great last year. Congratulations. You're 0 for 2 for the last 2 World Cups. It's not the fault of, they're like, well, some countries have lost 3 times. Well, yeah, but some countries are playing actual top 20 teams all the time. Europe, they talk about how they're playing all these great teams. Germany and France almost never play each other. You know what 2 countries have played each other more than anyone else in world soccer?
Who?
It's not even close. The United States and Mexico.
In like everything combined?
Yeah, they play each other in basically every tournament they're in, every qualifying, they always play each other. And they play each other twice.
And they always have friendlies too, don't they?
And they have friendlies and everything else. Germany and France and England, those guys never play each other in qualifying. Italy never has to beat out England because they never play England.
Because they didn't have realistically, they would have been a top tier, so they would have had a weighted group, right?
Italy would have been, and Italy would have forced Portugal into group 2, and that would have forced, depending on how it turns out, because US and Mexico are really close, either US or Mexico to group 3.
Because you're not going to have a group where it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of
either
Malta, Israel, Cyprus, all in the same group.
No, it's just, I'm sorry, I'm tired of countries like that bitching. When the US was like, oh, it wasn't fair that, Panama did whatever. We just had to tie Trinidad and Tobago last time. Mm-hmm. That was us. That had nothing to do with Panama.
It's how I feel every tournament, like every March Madness. Well, it's not fair that we didn't get. There's 68 teams that get in. Win 2 more games.
Yeah, it's dumb. I'm sorry. I'm just tired of Italy's bitching about everything.
Well, they're good at it.
They're very good. They're very good at
it. Nice. Well, I guess on the whining of Italy, it is time to bring this show to a close. It's also plugging away time. Hey, I wrote a book. Check that out. Chavo Guerrero Instant Classic. It's about the late, great Chavo Guerrero Sr. I helped him write that before he passed away. That's out on Amazon. We are now recording again the Classic Sports Review. We're back. Woohoo! Yeah, so we're going to be looking at the first ever USFL game on television. Jim Lampley, you suck.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I still have to watch a bit more of that. Coy Bacon, I forgot that he was in the USFL. Yeah, so it's been interesting to watch that. But whoever were the producers,
sorry. One more thing. Yeah. The producers, whoever covered the USA and Panama game should never be allowed to produce another soccer game again.
Well, what'd they do?
They're showing drone shots of the crowd while the ball's in play.
Why?
Like the U.S. is dribbling up the field, and all of a sudden we have drone shots of the crowd for like 10 seconds at a time. They were awful. It was like they'd never done soccer before. I'm sorry. Go back to your plugging.
No, that's. I can't even imagine that. Why would?
I don't know. It was ridiculous.
Has that ever happened? Watching you watch 1,000 games, like
I've never seen that before. I'm like, I was there with my son. I'm like, go back to the game. Go back to the game. Go back. Like it was enough. I'd said it 4 or 5 times before they would go back on the field. They're like, what is? Because sometimes you get replays if the ball's restarted quickly and you miss a little bit. That I understand because they can't control that. They want there's stuff. There's no place to show replays in soccer. So if it goes out of bounds or there's a stoppage, they got to show it. That I get. But there's no reason to show not just crowd shots, but drone footage showing like rows and rows of the crowd from above that you can't even see what they're doing. They're like, hey, the seats are full. Great. It was just dumb. I'm sorry. Go back to your plugging.
no, that's. I'm sort of stuck on that. Man, I thought watching the USFL was interesting in its own way. So we've got that. Brad, Andrea, and myself, we've just recorded. What the hell did we just record? Another thing for How the Hell Did This Go #1? Oh, we did Yakety Yak by the Coasters.
Don't talk back.
Yes. We've picked, or they've picked. I wouldn't have picked this one because they keep picking good songs, Evan. They're supposed to pick crappy songs. You know.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So they've picked for next week Another Brick in the Wall.
Oh, nice.
That's a great song. So
yeah.
I've got a shit sandwich for them, a shit sandwich wrapped in a turd. Because I have to teach them, this is all about how the hell. How the hell did this go #1? Well, here's why, because it was great. It's far more fun to talk about crap. Speaking of crap, the biggest reason I watched the Oscars was because Chris Bourdain and I were going to look at the 1989 Oscars, the one where Snow White and Rob Lowe danced.
Interesting.
On our other show, which was this crap was on national television.
Excellent.
Yes. Vinny Lospinoso, who makes the Hall of Fame case for the one, this just got up on YouTube, I believe, where he looks at Leo Ferris. We just recorded the one on Frank Lubin. I didn't know who he was, but he's the grandfather of Lithuanian basketball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
that makes sense. That makes sense for the basketball hall. With the way they do
no, very much so. So he made a great case for him, and I forget who he's got lined up for. Another person I've never heard of, but I don't know where he fills all this information in that 22-year-old brain, but he certainly manages.
He doesn't drink enough, is what it comes down to.
I don't think he drinks at all.
No, that's where he's got the extra brain cells.
Yeah, well, I've certainly lost that, and that's pretty much all the end of that. So
hold on.
Oh, that's great. That's important. Oh, that's right. Evan and I put together the United States Athletic Hall of Fame, and it's not just us. We've got Olympians, we've got former NFL players who helped us decide who should be, not who's in, you decide who's in, but they helped us decide who was nominated. Check that out, www.notinhalloffame.com/USA. Voting will end on October for the first ever class. Check that out. Vote now, vote every day, vote tomorrow. Can't vote multiple times in a day.
Well, maybe if you use multiple computers or something. I don't know.
I suppose. You could do that.
Yeah.
So check that out.
And by the way,
go ahead.
Something I wanted to say from last week. I just wanted to pass talk about a very important anniversary. The 21st of March, a week ago Monday, when I was traveling, was the 70th anniversary of the Moondog Coronation Ball.
What's that?
What was the Moondog Coronation Ball?
Let's see, 70 years ago.
If you want, I'll give you a hint. It took place in Cleveland.
Is that something with Alan Freed?
It was hosted by Alan Freed.
Okay.
World's first ever rock concert took place March 21st, 1952, featuring the Dominoes, Danny Cobb, Tiny Grimes and the Rockin' Highlanders, Paul Williams and the Hucklebuckers, and Veretta Dillard, among many others. So yeah, the very $175 to get in. He called it the most terrible ball of them all. So the very first rock and roll show took place 70 years ago this month. So
And that's why the Rock Hall's in Cleveland, folks.
why the Rock Hall's in Cleveland and why the mascot for the Cavaliers is named Moondog.
Oh, I didn't even know that I never even noticed their mascot.
He's a dog. His name is Moondog.
Oh, why not? So wherever you are, wherever you may be, stay safe, everyone. Check out
Take care.
the